Good evening, everyone. In the last session, we understood what is functional interface, what is lambda expression, how to write the lambda expressions, and how to call them by using functional interface. Lambda expression means no name, no modifier, no return type. Lambda is an anonymous function without name, without modifier, and without return type. Perfect. Now here, once we write the lambda, in order to call that lambda, we are going to use functional interfaces. What is a functional interface? The interface which contains only one abstract method is called as functional interface. Functional interfaces are used to invoke lambda expressions. Below are some predefined functional interfaces available in the Java 8. Right, good. Next one. To work with the Streams API and to work with some functionality in the Java 8, they provided few predefined functional interfaces. One is predicate and by predicate. Predicate will take one input and will return true or false value. By predicate will take two inputs and will return true or false value. Consumer will take only input but no output. If you want to supply only one input, then you can go for consumer. If you want to give two inputs, then we need to go for by consumer. Supplier will only provide the output, no input for the supplier. Function will take the input and the function will return the output also. Function will take only one input. If you want to supply two inputs, then we need to go for by function. So these are predefined functional interfaces available in Java 8. Good. Now we worked with this predicate, by predicate, consumer, supplier, and function. We understood the difference also. Predicate, it takes input, it returns true or false. If you want to supply single value as an input, then we will go for predicate. If you want to supply two values, then we will go for by predicate. It will take two inputs, will check the condition, will return true or false value. Similarly, supplier is there. Supplier nothing but it will just supply the output. It will not take any input. No input, but only output. Then consumer will take the input, but will not return anything. Fourth one is function. Function will take the input and it will return output also. Good, fine. We understood what are the things that we need to follow. Here in the predicate, what is the method available? We have a method called a test method to call the predicate. In order to call the predicate, we are going to use a method called test method. Supplier, in the supplier, we have a method called get method. Supplier is having a method called get method. And what is the method available in the consumer? It is having a method called accept. Function, it is having a method called apply. So these are the predefined functional interfaces which are having only one abstract method. Predicate interface contains test as the abstract method. Supplier contains get as the abstract method. Consumer contains accept as the abstract method. Function contains apply as a abstract method. So like this, there are predefined functional interfaces and methods are available in order to work with this. These all are predefined functional interfaces. These all are used to execute lambda expressions. These are used to execute lambda expressions. Are you guys able to follow me? Good, fine guys. Now I want to perform sum of given two numbers and I want to get the output. Can you write a lambda expression for that? Task, take two inputs and perform sum of two inputs and return output. Okay, this is my requirement. Take two inputs and perform sum of two inputs and return output. Can you write a lambda sum of two numbers program in the Java by using lambda expression? Sum of two numbers in the core Java, first we will talk about that sum of two numbers, right? Now I want to go for sum of two numbers and I want to return the output. So now how to write the lambda expression for this? Okay, people are able to write the lambda. Now, in order to call that lambda, do we need to write our own functional interface, or is there any predefined functional interface available for this scenario? Do we need to write our own functional interface, or predefined functional interface is available? I want to pass two inputs and I want to get the output. Which one we can use? Two inputs it should take and it should give the output. Predicator, supplier, consumer, function, by function. Which one? Which one? By function. Okay, here I'm going to write a lambda like this: a comma b, a plus b. That's it. This is my lambda. A comma b, lambda returns a plus b. Can I say this lambda will take two inputs and returns sum as output? Can I say this lambda is taking two inputs and performs sum and returning the output? Yes. Can I store this lambda into by function? Integer comma integer, integer comma integer comma integer. Okay, by function. Two inputs, input types and output type. Now, what is the method available in that to call? What is the method available in that to call? What is the method available in that? Apply. I'm passing two inputs only, Iqbal, not three inputs. Inputs I'm passing only two. Okay, let us go to our program. What is the method to call this? Apply. By function dot apply inputs 10 comma 20. What is the output? Integer sum is equal to by function dot apply. So this is my lambda expression. Okay, let me open my IDE. Let me write this logic. Now, function demo is available, right? Let us go to here. Let me take a comma b lambda a plus b. So this is my lambda. A comma b is input and it is going to perform a plus b. Store that into a variable, reference variable, by using by function. TUR, three generic types it is taking. Represents input. First two represents input, third one represents output. What is the output we are going to get? Inputs I'm passing as integer comma integer. Output also I'm going to get as a integer. By function is equal to a comma b and a plus b. It will perform the sum and it is going to return that sum. Now simply let us call system.out.println by function dot apply 10 comma 20. 10 comma 20. See the output. Are we able to get 30? Here function is taking name and returning the length. Function interface will take only one input, whereas by function will take two inputs. So my lambda is taking two inputs and returning the output. When the lambda takes only one input, to call that we will go for function interface. When the lambda is taking two inputs and returning the output, then we will go for by function. We'll go for by function. Got it? In the generic, we are specifying three types. So first two represents input, third one represents output. What is the output you are getting from the lambda? I'm writing a lambda. That lambda I am storing into a variable. Using that variable, I'm calling the lambda by using functional interface method. Whatever the lambda we are writing, lambda we are storing into functional interface variable, and we are calling functional interface method. Only one abstract method will be available. When we call that method, that lambda will be executed and it is returning the result. So with this we understood what is predicate, by predicate, function, by function, consumer, by consumer, and supplier. Do we have by supplier concept? Do we have by supplier? We have by predicate. By predicate is available. And we have by consumer. By consumer, by supplier is not available. By predicate is available. By predicate is available. By consumer is also available. By function is also available. But do we have by supplier? By supplier is available or by supplier is not available? Come on guys. By supplier available or by supplier not available? By supplier not available because no input. No input. Okay. For a predicate, we have a by predicate. For consumer, we have by consumer. For function, we have by function. But for supplier, there is no by supplier. So these are predefined functional interfaces introduced in the Java 1.8. Predicate is a conditional function. It will take input and it will return the output. Output as true or false only. Predicate will take single input. By predicate will take two inputs. Consumer will only accept the input, but it will not return anything. Example is for each method. Consumer will accept input. It will do the operation, but it will not return any output. Consumer will accept only one input. By consumer will take two inputs. Supplier will not take any input. Supplier will give the output. But there is no by supplier because supplier itself will not deal with the inputs. That's why by supplier is not available. Function will take the input and function will return the output also. Input will be there, output will be there. If you want to supply one input, then go for function. If you want to supply two inputs, then go for by function. Good. Predicate interface having test method, consumer having accept method, supplier having get method, function is having apply method. So we understood what are the methods also. All right. Next one. Another concept that introduced in the Java 8 that is called method reference. That is called method references. Method references concept introduced in Java 1.8. As the name suggests, method reference nothing but reference to a method. Method reference means reference to the method. Method reference means reference to the method. So how we are going to refer the object references? Similarly, we are going to write the method references. Okay guys, now here, for example, I want to print one message. Okay guys, I want to print one message. So can I take like this message of system.out.println of message? So this is my lambda. Guys, here, can you tell me which functional interface I need to use to call this lambda? Which functional interface I can use to call this lambda? Can you guys tell me that? Which functional interface I need to use? Function, predicate, supplier, consumer. Which functional interface I need to use to call this lambda? Which functional interface I can use to call this lambda? Come on, guys. Which functional interface I need to call this lambda? First observe what it is doing. Is there any output from the lambda? Is there any output from the lambda? No. Is there any input for the lambda? Yes. Lambda taking input but not returning output. So can we call it as consumer based lambda? Yes. It is consumer based lambda. It is consumer based lambda. Understood? So here message I am giving as the input. It is taking the message as an input. It is printing that message. That's it. It is not returning anything. It is taking message as the input and it is printing that message. It is not returning anything as output. So that's why we can call it as consumer based lambda. We can call it as consumer based lambda. Are you guys able to understand this? Are you guys able to understand this? Understand this? Here, this is a lambda which is taking input, printing that input as it is on the console. It is not returning any output. So this is consumer based lambda. Here, if you see system.out.println of message, system.out.println of message, we are writing. Okay, guys. Now, instead of writing like that, we can go for a concept called method reference. We can go for a concept called method reference. Method reference is the short form of the lambdas, guys. Method references are the short form of the lambdas. Okay, now here let us see. I'm taking a message and I'm writing system.out.println of that message. Let me store this into consumer. Import the package. Then consumer dot accept. I'm giving hi. Consumer dot accept. I'm giving hi. Let me run this. Hi. I'm getting the message as hi. So it is a consumer based lambda. It is a consumer based lambda. Now here we can remove this lambda and we can write a short form of the lambda by using method references concept. Here I am referring to a method system.out.println of message. System.out.println of message that we are writing. Now let me remove this. Let me write one method in this class. Let me write one method in this class, or let me write one interface. Let me write one interface in this class. Okay, I'm writing one interface which is my interface. In this interface I'm writing public void m1. Now this class is available here. Now in this class we are overriding that method, or we are implementing that method, or whatever that is available. We are writing one method, public static void m2. I'm writing system.out.println. This is m2 method. This is m2 method. Now I want to call the m2. Generally, how we will call the m2? Come on, guys. M2 is a static method. How we will call the M2? Basically, method ref dot M2. So like this, we are calling our static method. This is M2 method. We are calling the static method by using class name, right? From Java 8, what they have provided is they provided a concept called method reference. Method reference of M2. Method reference of M2, right? This method reference of M2, I'm storing into my interface. Mi is equal to method reference of M2. So this M2 method I'm referring and I am keeping that into my interface. I'm referring M1. I'm referring this my interface method M1 to this M2. Now I am going to call method reference my interface dot M1 method. When I call my interface dot M1 method, my interface is pointing to which one? Method reference. So here I have a interface. In my interface, I have a M1 method. In the class, I have another method called M2. Here, my interface is referring to M2. Earlier, functional interface is used to store lambda expression. Now, in the functional interface, we are using method reference. In place of lambda, we are using method reference. Actually, I called which method? My interface dot M1. When I call the M1 method, which method is executed? Guys, when I call the M1 method, which method got executed? Come on. I'm calling which method and which method got executed? Come on, guys. I'm calling M1 method, but which method is getting called? M2 is executed. That means what I am doing, can I say that I'm referring from one method to another method? M1 method I am calling, M1 method is referring to M2. Earlier, what we used to do? Earlier, we used to write a lambda here. Earlier, we used to write a lambda here, system.out.println of hi. Now, if I execute M1 method, what will happen? My lambda will be executed, hi will be executed. So this lambda expression I'm storing into interface reference variable. Interface is a functional interface. To represent this as a functional interface, we can go for a annotation called @functional interface. When I write a functional interface annotation, compiler will check that this interface is really functional interface or not. Yes, this interface is a functional interface because there is only one abstract method is available. There is only one abstract method is available. That's why it is called as a functional interface. Public class method reference, I'm writing M2. And here I have written one lambda expression. That lambda expression I'm storing into a reference variable of functional interface. And I'm calling functional interface method. When I call functional interface method, that lambda got executed. Now, instead of the lambda, I'm going to refer another method that is called method reference. A static method I want to refer. Class name method name. That is called static method reference. That is called static method reference. So whenever I execute my functional interface method, I want to refer another method. That is called method reference. Method reference method name. Class name method name. It is used to refer the method. Instead of writing the lambda, we can write the method reference. Instead of writing the lambda, we can write the method reference. Are you guys able to understand my point? So this is static method reference. This is static method reference. Static method reference. Similarly, can we take interface reference, instance method reference also? Can we take instance method reference also? Yes. Now let me take new class instance method reference. I'm taking a main method. Here I'm writing public void m1. Inside that I'm writing for integer I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to, sorry, integer I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. System.out.println of I. I created one method called m1. What is that m1 method is doing? Can you guys tell me what that m1 method is doing? Can you guys tell me what that m1 method is doing now? What that m1 method is doing now? M1 method is printing the numbers 1 to 10. Now I want to call this M1 method by using method references. Okay, here I'm going to create object for my class. Instance method reference is equal to instance method reference is equal to new instance method reference. Instance method reference is equal to new instance method reference. Now I want to refer instance method by using functional interface. So there is one interface runnable. Can I call runnable is a functional interface? Runnable is equal to im colon m1. Now runnable is available. Runnable is available. Runnable I am configuring to instance method. Okay. Now I am going to create thread t is equal to new thread t dot start. T dot start. T dot start. Can you tell me what will happen when I go for this thread? I'm passing the runnable object to this thread class constructor as an input, and I'm calling t dot start. Come on, guys, tell me. Now, what this logic is going to do, can you tell me? What this logic is going to do, can you tell me? Thread will start. Once the thread is started by using start method, thread will call the run method. Am I using run method or that run method is referring to M1 method? Run method will be called or run method is referring to M1 method. Run method will be called or run method is referring to M1 method. Run is referring to M1. Okay guys, run is referring to M1. So in place of run method, our M1 method will be called. So I'm creating a thread by using runnable. In the runnable, I'm passing a method reference. That means I'm telling to runnable, boss, instead of run method, you just call my M1. Run method is replaced by M1. That is called method reference. If you want to refer from one method to another method, then you can go for a method reference. Run method is a static method or run method is a instance method. Run method is a static 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 method. So now here I'm referring static method. Method reference means reference to one method, reference to one method reference to one method from another method. This is static method reference example, and this is instance method reference example. Static method reference example and instance method reference example. Method references. Observe, here I'm creating a runnable object. Instead of writing the run method, instead of overriding the run method, I am using a method reference. In place of run, use M1. That runnable object I am passing to thread constructor, thread.start. When we call thread.start, it has to call the run, but run is referring to M1. Run method is replaced by M1. So M1 method will be called. When we go here, my interface my is equal to method reference double colon M2. So here, instead of writing the lambda, lambda is replaced by static method reference. I'm telling to store this method reference into this functional interface variable. When we call functional interface method, method reference M2 method will be called. That is the static method reference and instance method reference. Similarly, let me take one interface. Let me take the example of constructor reference. So how method references are available in the Java 8? Similarly, we can go for a concept called constructor reference. Here, let me take a class with a name called some doctor. Let me take a class with a name called some doctor. In the doctor class, I'm writing some constructor. System.out.println doctor constructor. Just I have taken a class. Inside the class, I'm writing a constructor. Inside the constructor, I'm writing one SOP message. Now, main method. Generally, how we will create the object, guys? Dr. D is equal to new doctor. So this is a normal way of creating object for the class. This is how we are going to create object for the class. For doctor class, I have created the object. For the doctor class, I have created the object. Okay, guys, this is normal way. Instead of this, in the Java 1.8, they introduced a concept called constructor reference. Okay, doctor colon new. It is a constructor reference. Double colon new reference to a constructor. Reference to a constructor. Now here I'm going to take supplier of doctor. Supplier of doctor. Now let me import it. Let me import it. System.out.println s.get dot hash code. Can I get the hash code of the doctor? Can I get the hash code of the doctor now? See here, hash code of the doctor. Doctor constructor is executed, and with that constructor we got the object. With that object we are able to get the hash code. What is this doctor colon new? Earlier we used it to create the object like this. Now we are able to refer that constructor by using constructor reference. More simplified code, more concise code. More concise code, more concise code, and more concise code and more readable code that we are providing. More concise code and more readable code we are providing. Okay, by using Java 8 constructor reference. Mr. Amar, sorry to say that after off session completed, you got the access. When you have done the payment, Amar? At what time you have done the payment? Mr. Amar. Amar, at what time? Yeah, can you unmute your mic?
Yeah, Ashok. Actually, I done the payment yesterday evening, and I asked for the new link yesterday itself, but they didn't give me. So I joined
I think
the
they
link.
gave no. I think they have added you to the WhatsApp group and they gave you portal access
No.
also,
I
right?
don't have any. No, means I haven't added any group. Actually, that's
I
why I
will check
just
with the
called.
admin team once. Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
for that disturbance, sir. I will check with the admin team why. Because once the admission is completed, immediately they will add them to the group and they will give the portal access also. You will
Yeah,
get the
actually,
backup video also for this, so you can refer that backup video.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Good guys. So so we are using we are using that constructor reference. We are using constructor reference. Okay guys. Now when you have a zero param constructor, then you can refer that constructor by using class name double colon new. It refers to this constructor. It refers to this constructor. Sir, when we have parameterized constructor, then what we need to do? Is it supporting for parameterized constructor also? No. If I have a parameterized constructor, for example, doctor integer I, doctor integer I, if I remove this zero param constructor now, it is failing. Why? Because when I give doctor double colon new, so double colon new represents a zero param constructor. Doctor double colon new represents zero param constructor, but in our class, zero param constructor is not available. We are having only parameterized constructor. We are having only parameterized constructor. Only parameterized constructor. Is it supporting for parameterized constructor? No, right? It is not using parameterized constructor. It is just referring to that constructor. Why we are using supplier here? Why we are using supplier? Can I, instead of supplier, can I go for a predicate? Instead of supplier, can I go for a predicate? Can I go for a predicate? No. Why? What is the purpose of a predicate, guys? What is the purpose of predicate? Predicate should return Boolean value. Predicate should return the Boolean value, right? But here, whatever the constructor reference I'm doing, is it taking any input? No, it is not taking any input. It is not taking any input. Okay, guys, it is just returning a object, a constructor calling it is doing. Can I go for a function here? Can I go for a function? Function means it should take the input, it should return the output. Function means it should take the input and it should return the output. Supplier, what is the meaning of supplier? What is the meaning of supplier? It gives only output. Okay, guys. So here I'm not taking any input. Just I want to refer to the constructor, zero param constructor. So for that, to refer this constructor, new constructor, I'm going to use supplier, constructor reference with the supplier. So now here when I execute this, doctor double colon new, here supplier is available. I'm calling the supplier s.get. When I call s.get, what it is going to return? It is returning doctor object. System.out.println doctor dot hash code. Okay, I want to print the hash code of the doctor object. First, I want to get the doctor object. Am I creating the object or am I referring to the constructor by using constructor reference concept? Am I creating the object or am I referring to the constructor by using constructor reference? Amar, I had a discussion with management, man. So when you have sent your payment details to the admin team, yesterday only you sent it or today you sent it? Amar Gorpade, right?
Hello. Yeah.
You sent the payment details to the admin team just 10 minutes back.
Yeah, I sent a mail yesterday as well, and I sent a screenshot as well on the WhatsApp group. WhatsApp one number is there. Share a screenshot on WhatsApp
Yeah,
as well.
what admin team is saying that they have received the payment details email just 10 minutes back.
I can show you as well.
Yeah, just forward that screenshot to me in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp. I will check that. I will take action on them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you, Ashok.
All right, guys. So we are able to understand what is the method reference and what is constructor reference. What is the method reference and constructor reference? Method reference means referring to a method. Constructor reference means referring to a constructor. Method references and constructor references concept as a short form of the lambdas. These method references and constructor references introduced in the Java 1.8. Constructor reference, if you want to refer to a constructor, you can go for constructor reference. If you want to refer from one method to another method, you can go for a method reference. All right, guys, can you create a thread? Can you write the logic to print numbers 1 to 5 by using thread with runnable interface? Can you guys write the logic normally? A task. Write a Java program. Write a Java program to print numbers from 1 to 5 using thread with the help of runnable interface. With the help of runnable interface. Can you guys do this task now? Can you write the logic for this? Write a Java program to print numbers from 1 to 5 using thread with the help of runnable interface. Can you try this? Can you try this? Write that in the notepad and send me the complete program, not line by line. Write the total program and send me that single program in the console. Write a Java program to print numbers from 1 to 5 using thread with the help of runnable interface. Himanshu, I want complete class, not just method. Good. People are sending the messages. Some people. Okay, good. Let me go here. Let me create that program. Let me create that program. Thread demo 1. Thread demo 1. I'm creating this and I'm getting a main method. Now I want to create a thread by using runnable. Okay, what we will do? We will implement a runnable interface. We will implement runnable interface and we are going to override run method and we are going to write system.out.println. I want to print the numbers from 1 to 5 for integer I is equal to 1, I greater than or equal to 5 and I plus plus. Here system.out.println of I I'm creating this object which is implementing runnable interface. Now let me create thread demo 1. Thread is equal to new thread demo 1. Now thread demo, this is a TD, and here I'm going to call this TD dot start will not be available. I need to pass this object as a parameter to thread class. Thread T is equal to new thread of T. Then I'm calling T dot start method. Can I say this? This is the logic to create a thread and to print the numbers from 1 to 10 by using a thread. With the help of runnable, I'm creating a thread and I am starting the thread. With the help of runnable, I'm creating a thread and I am trying to start the thread. Okay, fine guys. Integer I is equal to 1. If I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, sorry, less than or equal to, not greater than, less than or equal to. Okay guys, fine. Here I'm able to print the numbers from 1 to 5 by using thread. This is our regular approach. This is our regular approach. Can you do the same thing by using Lambda? Here run method is available in the runnable interface. We are implementing this runnable. Or this is my approach 1 guys. This is approach 1. This is approach 1. To create a thread and print the numbers from 1 to 10. Approach 1, I'm overriding the run method by implementing runnable interface. I'm creating object for my class. My object I'm passing as a parameter to thread class. Then I'm calling t.start. Whenever I call t.start, thread scheduler will start. Thread scheduler will allocate the resources to the thread and it is going to execute that thread. And it is going to execute that thread. It is going to execute that thread. It is going to execute this thread. Perfect guys. Good. Fine. Now this is approach 1. Can we go for approach 2? Thread demo 2. What is the another approach to create a thread? Thread demo 2. Now here I'm going to write a main method. Instead of implementing the interface directly, instead of implementing the interface directly, can I directly go for anonymous implementation? Runnable R is equal to new runnable. And inside this, can I override the run method? And can I print the numbers from 1 to 10? System.out. For loop, I'm going to write to print the numbers for 1 to 10. For integer I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, comma, I plus plus. System.out.println of I. System.out.println of I. Now here R is available. Runnable object is available. Thread T is equal to new thread of R. Runnable object I am passing T dot start. Now it is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. Can I say this is approach 2 to create a thread and start the thread? First approach is this. We are implementing runnable interface and we are overriding the method. We are creating the object for the thread class. We are passing our object as a parameter for the thread class and we are calling t.start method. Then next one, thread demo 2. Here, instead of implementing an interface, I'm going for anonymous implementation. So this is also a valid approach to create the thread and start the thread. Now here I'm implementing an interface manually and I'm overriding the method and I'm creating the object and I am calling that. Okay guys, next one, instead of implementing the interfaces separately, we are providing anonymous implementation for the interface without creating a separate implementation class. We are providing anonymous implementation for the interface and we are starting the thread. Both approach 1 and approach 2 correct or not? Approach 1 and approach 2 both are correct or not? Shekhar, I'm not creating the object for the interface. I'm writing anonymous implementation for the interface. It is like a inner class. Anonymous implementation is like a inner class. Here, if I write the code like this, that means I'm creating the object. Runnable R is equal to new runnable of this. That means object creation. I'm not writing like that. I am not giving the semicolon. I'm writing the body. I'm writing the body for that. This is called anonymous implementation in the Java. Is this valid now? Am I able to start the thread by using runnable interface with the anonymous implementation? Yes, approach 1 is available and approach 2 is also available. Similarly, can you try approach 3 to start a thread by using runnable with the help of lambda expression? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you simplify this code by using lambda? Can you simplify this code by using lambda? Come on, guys. Yeah, please write the lambda and send me in the chat. Do we really need to write this much logic? Do we really need to write this much logic to create the thread from Java 1.8? Do we really need to write this much logic to create the threads from Java 1.8 onwards? Okay, guys. Yeah, go for thread approach 3, thread demo 3, new class. I'm going for thread demo 3. I'm going for thread demo 3, main method. Now, earlier in the first approach, I implemented runnable interface and I'm overriding the method. In the second approach, I'm writing anonymous implementation. We already discussed in the multi-threading how to write the anonymous implementation. Then here, approach 3, runnable interface having only one method called run method, that is a functional interface. Okay, let me write a lambda for integer I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, system.out.println of I. So this is my lambda expression. It is not taking any input. It is just having a body. It is just having a body. In that body, we are writing the logic to print the numbers from 1 to 10. Let me store this lambda into a functional interface called runnable. Let me store this lambda into a functional interface called runnable. Now, here I'm going to create a thread t is equal to new thread of r t dot start. How simply, how quickly we are able to create the thread and we are able to print the numbers. Can you see? Can I say here with a less number of lines of code, we are able to write our logic. We are able to write the logic now. Come on, guys. So what is the difference you observed? Approach 1, approach 2, approach 3. Now currently in the market, people will follow which approach? Approach 1, approach 2, or approach 3? People will follow which approach? Third approach. Why? Why third approach? Why third approach? Less code, more readable code, and more concise code we can write by using lambdas. Same thing can we implement for callable also? Same thing can we implement for callable also? Yes, callable is also a functional interface. Callable is also a functional interface. Callable is also one functional interface available. In that we have only one method called call method. In that we have only one method called call method. Same thing can be done for callable also. Good. Thread creation. This is our approach 1 to create the thread. Approach 1, and this is our approach 2. This is our approach 2, and this is our approach 3. This is our approach 3. Approach 3. Approach 3 using lambda. Using lambda expression. Okay, guys. Now let us write one scenario now. Let us write one scenario. Store. Are you guys able to understand? I'm going for next requirement. Are you guys able to understand this requirement? Are you guys able to understand this requirement? How to create a thread in the Java from 1.8 onwards? Do we really need to extend the properties from thread class? Do we really need to implement runnable interface? No. Simply we can write lambda expression. Simply we can write lambda expression. That lambda expression we can store into runnable. Whatever the lambda you want to execute, whatever the logic you want to execute, that logic you can write in the lambda. That lambda can be stored into functional interface variable, that is a runnable. Runnable object we are passing to thread object, thread.start. When we call thread.start, it is going to call the runnable run method. Where is the runnable run method? Runnable run method we implemented as a lambda. That lambda we stored into a variable. Lambda function, no name, no modifier, no return type. Lambda expression. Now do you realize how Java 8 is important? How much important it is? Come on, guys. Understood. Now take a requirement. Write a Java program. Write a Java program to sort numbers in descending order. Using array list. Write a Java program to sort numbers in descending order using array list. Write a Java program to store numbers in array list and sort numbers in descending order. We discussed in the collections how to sort the collections. In the collections we discussed how to sort them. Can you write a logic to sort the numbers in descending order? Can you write the logic to store the numbers in the array list? And can you sort the numbers in the descending order? Come on, guys. Can you try this logic? Most of the interview questions they will ask you with respect to Java 8 only. They will ask you to write the logic with the help of Java 8. So do you know how to sort the collections? Do you know how to sort the collections? Can you write the logic? Can you guys write the logic to sort it? Can you write the logic to sort these numbers? Write a Java program to store the numbers in array list and sort the numbers in descending order. Come on, I'm waiting for your logic, guys. Can you send me your logic? Without using predefined methods, Manoj, we should not use reverse order. I want to do that by using lambda. I want you to do that by using lambda. Okay. Yeah. See here. Numbers sort technique 1. Numbers sort 1. Here I'm going to take main method. In this, I'm going to create one array list integer. AL is equal to new array list. AL new array list. AL dot add of 5. AL dot add of 3. AL dot add of 4. AL dot add of 2 or 1. AL dot add of 2. Okay. Here I'm writing system.out.println before sort. Before sort, I'm printing my array list. Before sorting, I'm printing my array list. Let's run this program. Before sort, array list will maintain the insertion order 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. As it is, the data is printed. Before sort, my data is printed as it is 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now I want to do the sorting. Okay. For this, what I will do is I'm going to take class number comparator implements comparator interface, implement comparator interface, integer, number comparator implements comparator interface, override comparative method, override comparative method. Now here I need to return the data based on the input. Here I'm going to take I as a first object, j as a second object. I as a first object, j as a second object. If I greater than j, if I greater than j, if first value is greater than second value, I want to return a negative number. Else if I less than j, then I'm going to return positive number. Else I'm going to return 0. Else I'm going to return 0. That means both are same. Now here I'm implementing a interface. I'm implementing a interface. I'm implementing a interface and I am trying to override a method called compare method by using comparator. Now what I will do here, I'm going to use collections dot sort of array list comma new number comparator. I'm passing my custom sorting technique. Then I'm going to use system.out.println after sort. After sort, I'm going to print my array list. After sort, I'm printing my array list. Now see this. Are we able to print in the descending order? Are we able to print in the descending order? Are we able to sort the records in the descending order? How I am printing them? How I am sorting them in the descending order? By using comparator. How I have implemented a comparator? If I value greater than j value, that means return -1. Don't do any swapping. If I value is greater than j value, don't do any swapping. If I value is less than j value, then do the swapping. Okay, -1 means shift, don't shift it. Greater 1 means positive number means shift it. Return 0. So here I have created one number comparator. Number comparator implementing comparator interface. Then I am overriding the compare method. Inside the compare method, I am taking two parameters I comma j. If I is greater than j, then return -1. Else if I is less than j, return positive number. Then otherwise, if both numbers are equal, then return 0. So I am passing this comparator here. When I am passing this comparator here, it is going to do the sorting by using given comparator. I'm implementing a interface. Implemented a class object I am passing as a parameter for sort method. This is my custom sorting. We are able to do the sorting. Instead of writing this much logic here, can I use lambda? Can I use lambda? Come on guys. Can I use lambda expression? Can you write this logic by using lambda? This is approach 1 without lambda. Logic without using lambda. Approach 1 without lambda. Logic 1 without lambda. Next one, approach 2 with lambda. How to do the same thing by using lambda expression? I want to sort this. I want to sort this by using lambda. I want to sort this by using lambda. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Come on, guys. Can you try this logic by using lambda? Yes. Instead of calling this, we can simply go for collections dot sort of array list of collections dot sort of array list of. We can write a simple logic. We can write a simple logic here. We can write a simple logic here. This array list object we are passing. Input we are going to take. Input we are going to take I comma j. I comma j. I dot compare of I dot compare to of j. I dot compare to of j. So here I dot compare to of j. That means compare to is a predefined method available in the comparable interface. It is a predefined method available in the comparable interface. So we are sorting the numbers. Numbers nothing but integers, right? The integer class is already implementing comparable interface I comma j. When I do like this, what will happen? It is sorting in the ascending order. I dot compare to of j, it is sorting in the ascending order. It is sorting in the ascending order. Okay, guys. Now, how to sort in the descending order? This is used to sort in the ascending order. How to do in the descending order? Yes, see here. Collections dot sort of array list. I comma j a lambda. I comma j lambda. We are going to take here in this lambda. What I will do is, if I is greater than j, then return -1. Return -1. Else, if I is less than j, now I'm writing a ternary expression. So you know ternary operator, right? How we will do the ternary operator? Integer I is equal to, if 10 greater than 20, if 10 greater than 20. Now I want to take like this. For me, example, let me take string high. 10 greater than 20. If 10 greater than 20, then print high. Otherwise, store hello. Can I say that it is a ternary operator? String high, 10 greater than 20. If this condition is satisfied, then first one will be executed. If this condition is not satisfied, then second one will be executed. So first one if the condition is true, then first one it will take. If a condition is false, then second one it is going to take. Now similarly, I'm going to sort the numbers in the descending order by using lambda expression, by using comparator. Instead of writing a separate class to implement, whatever the logic I am writing, this logic I will implement by using lambda. Observe carefully how I am going to implement that by using lambda. Collections dot sort of array list. I want to sort my array list object which is having some values. I want to sort my array list object which is having some values. Collections dot sort of array list. Values I want to sort by using comparator, by using compare method I comma j. I'm going to take two inputs I comma j. Now here I'm writing, if I is greater than j, then return -1. Otherwise return +1. If I is greater than j, return -1, else return +1. Now execute it. Now can you see how simply we are able to sort the records in the descending order by using lambda? I'm telling that if I value is I and j, I'm taking as an input. If I is greater than j, then return negative number. If I is greater than j, return negative number. If I is not greater than j, then return positive number. This is my lambda. Can I say sort method is taking comparator as a parameter? That comparator, it is taking two inputs and it is giving one output also. Can I call it is a function? Can I call this lambda is a function? Function type input is there by function, two inputs available and one output it is returning by function. By function. Understand, guys? Easily we are able to sort it in the descending order by using one lambda. Earlier we implemented a interface, and that interface implementation class object we are passing as a parameter. Now this is not required. Simply you can write a lambda with a less number of lines of code. We are able to complete our task. That is the beauty of the lambda expressions. Now, do you understand the power of lambdas? Are you able to understand the power of lambdas? Yes, now tell me, what is lambda and why we are going for lambda? What is lambda and why we are going for lambda? What is lambda and why we are going for lambda, guys? Can you tell me that? What is lambda and why we are going for lambda? Lambda is an anonymous function, no name, no return type, no modifier. Lambda is used to write more readable code and more concise code. Lambda is used to write more readable code and more concise code. Can we say that lambdas are used to reduce number of lines of code? We can do more work by using less lines of code with the help of lambda. Can I say lambdas are replacement for inner classes, anonymous inner classes? So once the lambdas are there, do you think that anybody will go for inner classes now? Do you think that anybody will go for inner classes, anonymous implementations? No. Now, do you understand why we have not spent much time on the inner classes? It's waste of time. Nobody will use that inner classes and anonymous implementations nowadays because lambdas are replacement for them. Now lambdas are trending in the Java. Lambdas introduced in 1.8 version. Lambdas changed complete Java programming style. So in the initial days, I told you what is the purpose of Lambda 8. Is this a statement true now? In the first day, I explained Java 1.8 version introduced a lot of new features in Java. Java 1.8 new features changed Java programming style. Can we say that that statement is correct now? Is that statement correct now? Earlier, if anybody want to implement a interface, they use it to create a class and they use it to implement a interface. Now, if I want to implement a comparator, I will go for comparator interface like this. And I use it to pass that comparator implementation object as a parameter, or we need to write the anonymous implementation for the comparator. But now, just with one line, we are able to complete our task. Just with one line, we are able to complete our task. That means the programming style got changed from 1.8 version with the help of lambdas. That's why these lambdas having that much demand in the market. In every interview, lambda based questions will be asked. In every interview, lambda based questions will be asked. Lambdas are very, very powerful in Java. Lambdas is one of the biggest advantage in the Java now. approach 2, simply like this. You can go for another approach also with anonymous implementation. So lambdas are alternate for anonymous implementation. Here I am writing a lambda. That's it. Okay, guys. Perfect. So with this, we completed our discussion related to lambda expressions. Let me summarize what we discussed so far in our classes. So far, we discussed about what are the new changes, what are new changes in Java 8 version. Interface changes we discussed. Interface changes. Here we discussed about default methods, and we discussed about static methods, default methods and static methods. Why default and static methods introduced in Java 8? Why default and static methods introduced in Java 8 we understood. Then fourth one, we discussed about lambda expressions introduction, how to write the lambda expression, how to invoke lambda expression, functional interfaces. We discussed about functional interfaces. Here several predefined functional interfaces available like a predicate and by predicate. Then supplier is available, consumer is available, and we have by consumer also. Consumer and by consumer is also available. Here function available and by function is also available. Okay guys, this is what we learnt so far. Got it? So in the Java 8, so many new features got added. The new features in the Java changed the programming style. First change, interface related changes. They added default methods and static methods to provide the backward compatibility. Without disturbing the existing implementation classes, we can add new methods in the interfaces. For that, default methods and static methods got added in the Java 8. Lambda expressions introduced in the Java to achieve functional programming. Lambda expressions are used to write more readable and concise code. Lambda expression nothing but an anonymous function without name, without modifier, without return type. So we have seen several examples to write the lambda expressions, and we are able to invoke the lambda expressions. In order to invoke the lambda expressions, we are using functional interfaces. Functional interfaces are used to invoke our lambda expressions. Now, what is a functional interface? The interface which contains only one abstract method is called as functional interface. So runnable is a functional interface, comparator is a functional interface, callable is a functional interface. Like that, there are several functional interfaces in the Java, and Java 8 provided several predefined functional interfaces like predicate, by predicate, supplier, consumer, by consumer, function, and by function. Predicate is a conditional based functional interface. It will take input, will return true or false. Supplier will not take any input, it will give only output. Consumer will take input, will not give any output. By consumer will take two inputs. Function will take input and will return the output. Function will take only one input, by function will take two inputs. Now we are able to do collections sorting by using lambda. And we are able to thread creation by using lambda. thread creation by using Lambda. Able to understand how to create the thread by using Lambda? Are you able to understand how to create the thread by using Lambda? Three approaches we have seen, right? First approach, by implementing an interface. Second approach, anonymous implementation. Third approach with Lambda. We discussed about method references and constructor references. If you want to refer from one method to another method, then you can go for method reference. Constructor reference also we can achieve. Method references and constructor references are short forms of the Lambda. Short forms of the Lambda. This is what we have learned. Next one, there is one more concept available, guys, which is for each method. Now earlier, if you want to print this collection data, we used to go for loop. For integer I is equal to 0, I less than array list dot size, comma I plus plus, system dot out dot println of array list dot get of I. This is one way to print up the collections data. 5342, 54312, something, some insertion order will be maintained by array list class. This is one approach to print up our array list object data. Now let me go for second approach also, system.out.println. I'm going for second approach, that is for each method, integer I colon array list, system.out.println of I. Here I'm using for each loop. Sorry guys, I'm using for loop, that is my approach 1, and I'm using for each loop my approach 2 to print the data of my array list. I'm able to get the data. In the 1.8 version, they introduced for each method in the collections iterable interface. In the iterable interface, they have added for each method. In the iterable interface, they added for each method. Okay, al dot for each. Can you see what is the parameter of the for each method? Can you see what is the parameter of the for each method? Consumer. What is a consumer? Guys, what is the parameter for each method? I'm expecting your answer. Consumer. What is the meaning of consumer? Which will only take the input, will not return any output. It will take only input, will not return any output for each. Now, whatever the number is there, I'm going to take this number, system dot out dot print ln of I. Can I write like this? Can I write like this? A consumer which will take the input and which will print the data. Yes, by using for loop also, we are able to print it. By using for each loop also, we are able to print it. By using for each method also, we are able to print it. With a single line, we are able to complete our task. Less lines of code. Whatever we are able to do by using for loop and for each loop, same thing can be done by using for each method also. For each method is expecting consumer. This is my lambda. This is my lambda. Who is calling this lambda? This lambda is calling by for each method. I is a input. I'm giving I as a input. That input I'm printing. Is this lambda? Can I say my lambda is taking a input but not returning any output? Can I say that my lambda is taking a input, not returning any output? Yes, that is a consumer. That is a consumer. So by using for each method also, we are able to print the numbers of the collection. I mean, collection objects we are able to print by using for each method. What is this for each? For each method introduced in Java 1.8 version to get each element from the collection. To get each element from the collection. It is taking consumer as a parameter. Consumer means accept. It will only take the data, will perform the operation, will not return anything. What is this? For each method in the Java 1.8 version. What is for each method in the Java 1.8 version? Come on. For each method introduced in Java 1.8 version. For each method introduced in Java 1.8 version. For each method added in iterable interface. Added in iterable interface. For each method is a default method. It is having body. It is having body. It is having body. This method is used to access each element of the collection. This method is used to access each element of the collection. Okay, like this you can take this. Let me remove this for method, for loop and for each loop. Directly I'm going for each. From now onwards, in the advanced Java classes also, whenever I want to access the data from the collection, I'm going to refer for each because it is the latest approach. It is the easiest approach and simple, straightforward, more readable, more concise to access each element from the collection. Yes, good. Simple. For each is a default method. It is available in iterable. Okay. Array list class is overriding that. Array list class is overriding. If you want, you can override according to your requirement. For each. Now see here, it is overriding here. This method is overriding by array list class. But is it really mandatory to override? Is it really mandatory to override? No, because it is a default method. It is a default method. Why they added this as a default method? Why not as an abstract method? Why they added this as a default method? Why not as abstract method? If they add this as the abstract method, then what is the problem? If they add this as the abstract method, then what is the problem? Every class should implement. If they add this as the abstract method, every collection class should implement. All the collection classes has to be modified. So that's why they added it as a default method. Okay, guys. For each, what is the purpose of for each method? For each method introduced in Java 1.8 version. For each method added in iterable interface. For each method is a default method. It is having body. This method is used to access each element of the collection, traverse the collection from start to end. Traverse collection from start to end. To traverse the collection from start to end. So this is the example. Here I'm taking array list. In this array list, I have stored some objects. I want to access each object of the array list. For that, I'm calling for each method. For that, I'm calling for each method, and I'm taking the each element of the array list. I'm printing on the console. This is equal to a consumer lambda. This lambda will be called by consumer accept method by for each method. For each method is expecting consumer as a interface, consumer as a parameter. Consumer is a functional interface. Consumer is a functional interface. Understand, guys? Very good. Now I'm going to upload the class notes to the portal. Daily class notes I'm uploading to the portal. You guys can download these notes from there and you can practice it. You can practice the programs. Tomorrow we are going to talk about string joiner, optional class introduced in the Java 1.8. So once the string joiner and optional is completed, then we are going to start with the stream API. Stream API is very, very important, guys. So don't miss the stream API. It is going to start from tomorrow. Tomorrow, first 15 to 20 minutes, we need to talk related to string joiner and optional class. Then we will work on stream API. So stream API will take 2 to 3 days of time. It is most important topic in the Java 8, and most of the interview questions also will be asked from stream API only. So first we need to understand the stream API, and then we need to do some programs on the stream API. Okay, good. Once the stream API is completed, our majority of the Java 8 is completed. Only stream API will take time. Only stream API will take time. Good. Can you guys check that? Notes uploaded, latest notes uploaded. Every day notes will be uploaded on the portal, guys. So you can access the notes. Zoom link also will be available on the notes. Zoom link also will be available on the portal only. Yeah. Can you check it? Updated notes available? Can you guys check it? Updated notes available? All of you? Yeah, fine. Thank you, guys. So with this, I'm stopping for today. We'll continue in the tomorrow session. Please practice Lambda expressions, functional interfaces for each method before coming to tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about optional class. Then we will talk about stream API. Bye-bye. Good night.